when I had my spiritual awakening, I saw that I'm and every other person on the world is perfect. And we don't have to fix ourselves. We only can create ourselves the illusion that we are not perfect.
Hey guys, welcome to our SoulFam Podcast, where I interview space holders from all over the world. I'm your host, my name is Karolina, and I am the Connection Catalyst. I help spiritual entrepreneurs experience deeper connection with themselves, with others, and with the universe. Today on the show, we have Andreas Hofmann, the Transformative Coach. Welcome to the show, Andreas. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm great. Thank you for your invitation. I'm super happy to be here.
I am very, very happy to be here as well, especially that we just only met like a week or two ago on this beautiful meetup that you are organizing, spiritual entrepreneurs, that I'm so, so grateful for to this day because I actually met so many beautiful people there and I was actually hanging out with some of them even later after our meetup. So thank you so much because you are there to connect people just like me. We are both connection catalysts. So I'm just really, really grateful to you for your initiative, for your drive, and for everything that you're doing for this world and for the people in Malaga because it's Spiritual Entrepreneurs Malaga. So if anyone listens and is in Spain, join because these meetups, these groups, Facebook group is really, really amazing. So yeah, I'm super, super excited to talk about. And I would love to start with your story because I'm super curious. How did you experience your growth and what has led you to become a transformative coach? Was it always that you felt like you want to help people, or did something happen in your personal life that you were like, okay, I'm gonna help now others achieve the same?
It was more that everything in my life led me to this point where I am right now. When I was, or in my 20s in general, I was super depressed. And it looked very real to me that something is wrong with me, that I have to fix myself. And my strategy for this was achieving. And when I was around 21, I read my first books about the personal development, and I saw the kind of the holy grail in it. If I only do my techniques, if I only do my work, if I only achieve enough, then on some point I will be good enough. But this point never came.
Mm. Yeah,
This
that's
point
how it
never
works,
came.
right? This is the achiever personality type. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Enneagram, but this is a personality typology that I like the most, and I talk about it a lot on my podcast because literally, it's like for me, it's like the best personality typology ever that exists. And for an achiever, it's like, okay, if I don't achieve, I'm not worthy of love. If I don't reach out for more and more and more, I'm never gonna be enough. So it sounds like you've had this pattern, but it also sounds like you have already broken out of it.
Yeah, when I got in touch with the spirituality, I got out with it, because when I had my spiritual awakening, I saw that I'm and every other person on the world is perfect, and we don't have to fix ourselves. We only can create ourselves the illusion that we are not perfect. And then, because this illusion looks so real, we are starting to work on this to fixing ourselves.
And how was your spiritual awakening? How did it happen? What has led you to this?
Life led me to this. 2 months before my spiritual awakening, it was around 3 years ago, I crashed against I can call it the achiever wall, because I was sitting on Bali with 10,000 euros of passive income per month. I could work from every place in the world from that point on, but I was super depressed, and this didn't make sense for me. And then I realized, okay, it's not possible to win the more game, which I tried all these years before. And I thought I will be good enough in my personal development if I only read books, if I only do coaching. But this point where I was good enough also never returned, never came. And so I was kind of frustrated because I didn't know what to do. But 2 months later, I had the spiritual awakening. It seems like it was the right time for me, and from that moment on, everything changed.
That sounds beautiful. Yeah, because if you always feel like you're not enough, there is always more to achieve. Like there is always like more money to make, there's always more friends to have, there's always more connection to have, like there's always more. So if you feel like, okay, only when I achieve anything then I'm going to be enough and worthy of love, then this point will never come. And so it's so beautiful that you actually awaken to the reality. But what would you say, like, how did you get out of depression? Because you don't seem like very depressed to me right now, so it means that you got yourself out of this state. So what would you say to people who maybe still struggle with it, or maybe to people whose friends or family struggle with depression? How should they
Mm.
act around them? What should they do to help?
The thing is, how did I get out? I realized the power of thought. And in my when I explain my coaching to people, in one sentence, I say to them, I show people that they are thinking. And the more you see this, not on the intellectual level, because intellectual level is thinking again, but the more you realize the fact that you are thinking, the less power thought has on you. And we are even now, we are all more or less the prisoners of our own intellect. But the more the true self is awakening, the presence, the divine one, the more, the less influence thought has on your life.
Mhm. Yeah, because you can be detached from what's going on in your mind, because you know that the essence of you is not your thoughts. The essence of you is this ever present, ever just existing, just being, just beingness without, because the mind is only a part of us and it's there to, of course, serve a beautiful purpose. We chose our personality on purpose. We chose our life. We chose our body, our family, our traumas, even for a reason, right? Because, for example, without your achiever personality, you probably wouldn't be where you are right now, and you wouldn't help so many people as you're helping right now. Because if you didn't have this drive and this motivation, okay, I want to help people, I want to achieve more, then you probably wouldn't be where you're at. Same for me. If I wasn't, if I didn't have abandonment wound, I probably wouldn't be a connection catalyst. Because if I didn't suffer from disconnection, I probably wouldn't have this drive to connect people and to create SoulFam, and to, because SoulFam, podcast is only the first step on the journey to create SoulFam app, to connect people from all over the world that are on this spiritual path. So I feel like everything that is in our life serves the purpose, and mind included, which is great, because with thought we can also create the reality that we want. So thinking and feeling something that we want to bring into our existence is actually great. So the mind can be a tool to help us create our life. But the problem, I guess, begins where you don't know that this is how you can operate, that you just go with automatic thoughts, with automatic programs based on the subconscious mind, rather than actually consciously choosing the thoughts that you're thinking and the emotions that you're feeling. I feel like even emotions are more powerful, because it's hard to control all the thoughts, because there's so many of them. But if you can actually like focus on emotions, then the thoughts that are vibing on the same emotional frequency, then they will come to you more and more. And so I feel like I totally agree that one of the most important awarenesses, I don't know even if you can say like this in English, but pieces of awareness or whatever, that you can have in your life, is just the awareness that 90% of your thoughts are not even yours, that you absorb the thoughts from your parents when you were growing up, you absorb the thoughts from people. Because thoughts are, for example, I had a few experiences where I could literally see thoughts as like with my eye, or rather third eye, but like I could see that it's actually energy, like it's like clouds, literally, like a thought form is like a cloud just like hanging around in the air, and you can literally like tap into it, because your brain is more like an antenna, the thought is more like a sense. So you can sense people's thoughts, you can sense your parents' thoughts when you're growing up, and you're just like absorbing all that, and then you think that all the thoughts are yours, whereas the reality is that no, you're not consciously creating most of them. So actually they are not even yours. So if you can detach from them and just like let them be, or just not give them as much power as you say, and then just like let whatever flow, like clouds in the sky, just let them flow, then they don't have as much power over you. And I think that when you're depressed, you have a lot of thoughts like this, right? Like, oh my god, my life doesn't make sense, like, I'm so sad, I'm never going to get out of this. And I can actually relate to depression only now, because in January I had COVID, and COVID wasn't really physically for me like tiring or anything like that. It was actually emotionally, because I had like depression for like a week because of COVID. And only then I could understand, wow, okay, so this is how people who are depressed feel. Like I've never really understood what it feels like. So do you feel like the awareness of, your thoughts that you're thinking and that it's not you, do you feel like this awareness was something that got you out of depression, or did you have to also use some tools, some maybe emotional release or some other understanding that completely got you out of it? And also, how long did it take for you to be in more like positive and happy state?
What got me out of it was awareness what's going on. I mean, the most of the people here on Earth right now are 100% identified with their intellect, means they are identified with their ego. And at the spiritual awakening, it was the first time that the ego and the awareness, the consciousness, was separated. I had a short moment, and from that moment, nothing was the same. Of course, I still sleep a lot and playing the game of life and the ego, but everything changed from that on. And it's not like, or also my work is all about level of consciousness. My work, I only work on the level of consciousness with my clients, because the higher your level of consciousness is, and level of consciousness is infinite, and it's various. It's not like that we achieve a high level and then we are there. It's, of course, I still have bad days too, when my level of consciousness is lower. A good metaphor is an elevator. But the thing is, and our our thinking, our thoughts, which we have right now, is a very good indicator to see what is our actual level of consciousness is. Because when the elevator is in the basement, of course the world looks dark. Of course there are no chances. Of course the world looks like a bad place. But when the elevator is on the top, is on the higher floors again, the world is full of possibilities. And so our thinking is always a feedback for our level of consciousness. And we don't have to fix our thinking. I mean, when I was in my 20s, I worked with positive affirmations and so on, and I tried to change my thinking. But the thing is, when you gain a higher level of consciousness, your thinking automatically change to a more positive level, to more hopeful, to more, yeah, to more beautiful, to see the beauty in life.
That's beautiful. So how do you guide people to raise their consciousness? What are your favorite tools?
I don't have any tools. My tools is my own personal understanding, my own grounding. And this is also the most important thing for a coach, because as a coach, we can't guide other people deeper than we self are. And it all starts with our own understanding, especially when we are here in the spiritual field. And I mean, when we talk about spirituality, we're talking about the indescribable. When I use language here right now, it's the intellect. And so the truth is not in the words. The truth is beyond the words. And so when I'm working with my clients, the only thing what I can do is being as present as I can, and coming from this present, and pointing from this present into the direction of truth, in the hoping that the other person sees the truth for him or herself, because you can't give away this present of spirituality. The other person has to find it for him or herself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you cannot teach someone something that you haven't personally gone through. And if you're already on a higher level of consciousness, even your presence, the energy, the aura that you're emitting already can make some shifts in some people's life. And I've experienced it so many times because I do plant medicine ceremonies, and some people, like, when they would just be in my presence, because I've done quite a lot of them, just through being in my aura, they were like, oh my god, and this is like that. I'm like, yeah, exactly. This is some understandings that I've got through the experiences that I've had. They could just kind of like download from me, and they're like, oh my god, this is like that. Oh my god, this is like that. And it's just so funny how we can influence someone just with our energy. And I felt your presence. I know when we met, you're just such a present creature. Like you're looking straight into the eyes. You're like, I feel like you're kind of like going straight to the soul when you're looking at someone. And so I can totally see how you can influence someone with presence and with the truth, because if you represent truth and if you represent presence and pure beingness, this is, I feel like, the higher state of consciousness, when you can be present. And also when you said, like, you can go higher and lower in levels of consciousness, I actually feel like maybe you can be in a lower state of consciousness when you are like in your trigger, negative emotion or whatever. But also I feel like when you are higher in your consciousness, like in everyday life, you don't actually treat these triggers so seriously. In terms of, for example, for me now, when I'm triggered, I still have this other perspective, this observer perspective, that is kind of like sometimes even laughing at the fact that I'm like crying because of something, because I'm in my inner child, and this and that happened, and I'm just like all emotional and doing emotional release. But actually at the same time, I'm aware that this is a trigger, that this is my inner child, that it just needs to be released, and just needs to be taken care of. And I actually feel like this higher level of consciousness that is only an observer, let's say, perspective, still remains, even if I am experiencing some like lower vibrational emotion, right? Because it's like, I don't know, grief or sadness or regret, whatever. I still have this like observer that is inside of me that sometimes thinks that it's even funny that I got triggered with such stupid things, because it's just sometimes something really silly can get you out of the state. But yeah, I feel like even if you are in these lower states, you can still have this higher level of awareness at the same time, simultaneously. So that's what I found for myself. Do you find it as well? Like the more you develop, the also the easier for you is to go through the lower levels of consciousness in terms of like lower vibrational emotions, and then you kind of like really can zoom out and see it for what it is, rather than like being so in it and being so caught up in your ego.
Yeah, I have the same experience. And it's not about that we control our thinking, because we can't control our thinking. Um, but we can be aware of our thinking. And for me, it's the same. I mean, I still have some bad hours when my level of consciousness is maybe lower, and my intellect is telling me the weirdest stories again. What is wrong with me? What will go wrong in the future, and so on. But I'm seeing what's going on. I'm seeing what's going on, and I don't take it so seriously anymore. And that's the secret.
Yeah, to have some distance to yourself, right? But I feel like sometimes it needs to come from the experience, because, like, for example, when I did my completion process training, and completion process is one of the methods that I'm using, where you focus on the negative emotion and you go back to the first time that it has happened in your childhood, and there are some more steps to the process. I remember my mentor, Tilson, when she was saying, yeah, but don't treat this as like, oh, there is so many triggers, there's still so many traumas to go through, oh my god, when is it going to end? Treat this as something fun, like, oh yeah, I'm going to get triggered, oh, I'm going to improve my life again. And now, at the time I was thinking, are you freaking crazy? I mean, I cannot like think like this, that it's all fun to go through the trigger, it's fun to go through negative emotions. But now I can really feel what she was saying, and now I'm actually the same. Like if I'm triggered, I'm like, oh, my life is gonna get even more amazing after I go through this, and when I release all these emotions. So I'm actually like positively, I don't know, I have positive attitude towards the trigger, rather than being like, oh my god, again I got triggered, again my ego is creeping in, oh no. So I feel like it also comes with practice. When you are exploring yourself more and more, and you're getting used to just being in these states and actually accepting them, then it is easier for you to just be okay with that, with no matter what happens, no matter what emotion comes to you, no matter what situations in your life are happening. You're like accepting of it, because you know that your mind is only one part, your emotions are only another part, but the essence is still there, and it's like untouched by any of that. So yeah, I just feel like it's so beautiful to have this awareness. But I'm really curious, like, so you had like spiritual awakening because you were so low that then there was like nothing left to, I mean, to hold on to, and you were just kind of like in this state, like, okay, I'm just surrendering, because it's just like that's it. Or how did it happen for you? Was it because you were so depressed and so low that it just kind of like awakened you to the reality of, or how did it happen exactly?
I think I was ready. I think I was ready. And It happened during a coaching, but I didn't know that the coach is a spiritual coach. And on some point, I see or I saw that I'm the one who's making the experience, and that I'm not the experience, and the body is a part of the experience. And this really shocked me. This really shocked me, and I had a lot of thinking about this. Thoughts like, "Oh my God, how will it go on my life?" And yeah, everything and nothing is the same, because I always forget it and always identificate myself with the experience, which can be also very beautiful. And also for the experience, there isn't ego necessary, and the experience can be a lot of fun if you don't take your ego so seriously.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And do you feel like when someone is depressed, do you feel like it's actually possible to help someone, or do you feel like it's their own, like, let's say, it's in their own hands to get out of this experience?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, especially we as spiritual coaches, we can't give away the truth. The other person has to find the truth for itself. But of course, we can be there. Of course, we can talk to the other person. And yeah, but I mean, when a person is depressed, it seems like it has a meaning right now, because when I look back in my life, everything that happened, everything which my intellect immediately judged as bad, turned out as a beautiful gift. And who am I? And with I mean the ego. Who am I? Who knows to know what's best for me? Because
Mm,
in my experience, there is a hand uh, which has written our life stories, and this hand is a very good writer. And what we can do is to have trust, to trust. Uh, do not take our ego so seriously, which is judging very quick. This is bad. This is right. Why me? And so on, and just moving forward. And the thing is, the more I saw the last 3 years, and the more my level of consciousness grow, the more beautiful my life become. And I know that this is possible for everyone, not only for me, not only for you. We all operating in the same perfectly designed system. And I really love little children, because with little children we can see what it seems like to be the human default settings. And little children, they are have a good time 98% of the time.
mhm.
And we can have this too. We can experience this too. This fun, this love, this just pure, this pure being.
That's so amazing. But for people, it's so hard sometimes not to judge the experience or to trust, because I feel like we are so programmed to do that. So, what are your practices that you do maybe for yourself? Maybe it's kind of meditation, or maybe just observing of your thoughts or whatever. What kind of practices do you do for yourself to really like come to this place of trust, of non judgment, and like to really raise your vibration? Do you work like on it on a daily basis, or do you feel like it just happens by itself? What kind of practices do you practice?
Honestly, nothing. But of course, I'm doing some stuff. Of course, I get coached. Of course, I'm reading books. I'm just doing what makes sense for me. But life itself is the best teacher. But of course, often we don't see our lesson. And but it's not like that there are the right techniques. I mean, we are always looking for the one right way. In business, for example, you only have to do these 10 steps, you only have to use these techniques, and so on. But there is no right way, but there is your way, and your way is the right way. And so I'm doing the things which makes the most sense for me. And right now I'm working, for example, I'm working a lot with the Of Course in Miracles workbook. And yeah, and when I feel that I want to do work with a specific coach, I'm doing it. So I'm just following my intuition. I'm following my inner guiding system,
Mm,
and this will
that's
guides
beautiful.
me
I really love
to
what you're
yeah.
saying. I really love what I can say. Nothing, because I feel like so many people are just caught up. Like, yeah, you have to meditate every day. You have to do yoga every day. You need to do journal every day, and you need to do this and that. But yeah, the truth is, like,
Mm.
even if you don't do any of these things, of course they are beautiful tools, and I love all of them, and I do, meditation daily and yoga very often and so on. But I feel like at least for me in the past, it was like, oh, I have to do this to be higher in my consciousness, or I have to do that, or I have to do emotional release, or I have to heal myself, I have to fix myself because I am not enough as I am. But if you actually let go of all of it, life will bring you to the situations that, or to the people, to the conditions that actually will help you heal anyway, will help you raise your vibration anyway, because you chose this path here on earth, and you chose the path to heal yourself, to bring to yourself people who will trigger you, or some tools that someone will show you, or some coaches that you're going to resonate with. So I totally agree that there is no right way, but I also just like to ask about people's favorite methods, because some people actually might get inspired. Like, I spoke to so many people, for example, who do journaling. I don't do it that often, but speaking to some of them, like, I actually really am up for trying it out, because some of them were just so passionate about it, how it has changed their lives. So it's sometimes good to share and see what resonates, because obviously it's not going to resonate for everyone, but I think it's really good to just brainstorm all these things that we can do for ourselves, and then people can change their lives thanks to doing all these things. That's and therefore my question. But I'm also really curious about.
Can,
Yeah,
can I say something about this?
of course.
Life is not about doing, because doing is the ego. And yesterday, my coach said something wonderful to me. And it was like, you can't be more God, because more is always the ego again. You are, you are, and you don't have to do anything to be. And this more creates a gap, and this gap is illusionary. Then you have time, and then you have to achieve, to do something to get there, but you are already there. The only thing is that you can see this, that you can see this more. And of course, there can be practicing like meditation or something can be very helpful. But even if you don't see it, you are.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And it actually brings me exactly to what I wanted to talk about, which is this presence. Because I feel like people are not present enough in their lives. Like, they are not present enough with each other. And even yesterday, I spoke to a friend, and he was like, what do you think is, the recipe for like a good relationship, so that this honeymoon effect that people talk about doesn't disappear? And I feel like what I said, that one of the things that I mentioned is actually being present with each other. Because I feel like if you are constantly in your mind, constantly in doing, constantly in somewhere else, not here and now with your partner or with yourself, depending on what kind of relationship we are talking about, then you are actually missing out on the present moment, and you're always like either in the past or in the future, and you're actually never here. But I feel like it's so hard for people to not think about the future. For example, if people don't have enough money, or maybe if something happened in the past that now they regret, like, it's so hard for people to be present. So what would you say to these kind of people that struggle with being, with pure beingness?
I mean, you are, again, you are, and you think, and you will, and that's, it's nothing right, it's nothing wrong with thinking. You will, because thought is the tool which brings us to, which guides us through life. But you can see that you are thinking, and the more you are seeing this, the less influence this has on your life. And I mean, love is always there, connection is always there. The only thing which can stand in our own way is our own thinking. For example, that the partner should behave differently, or that the partner should be different. But you don't have to believe these thoughts again, because when you believe this, you feel like this, and your power is to see what's going on. And when you see this thought, it's loses the power over you.
Yeah, because you don't give it so much emotional charge. Because I feel like the thing is that if you are giving it power, you're giving it some emotional charge, some, yeah, just like a nitro, like nitro power, nitro charge, right? Because then you're like, oh my God, this is like that, this is like that. And you charge it so much emotionally that then it actually matters. But if you don't charge it emotionally, if you just observe it and let it go, then it doesn't have to have any impact on you or on your life. But I am actually really curious, speaking about the relationships for a little bit, I'm curious to know your perspective, because that's something that I also spoke about yesterday, that like people on their self-development path who are healing themselves and their traumas, and who are aware of themselves and their thoughts, it's a kind of like, it seems to me like if someone is in a relationship and if the two people are healing, then it's almost like when they will have any problem, because the guy, if there is any problem, then they will know that okay, this is just some healing to go through, these are just some of my thoughts, and so on. So do you feel like if people are compatible in terms of like, if there is, not like a big incompatibility where someone, like, I don't know, wants to live in a different place or whatever, um, then do you feel like people who are actually on the spiritual evolution path and awareness path are kind of like, let's say, there is a big potential that they are going to be okay in a relationship and like keep being together, because they both heal and they don't treat the triggers or the arguments or whatever misunderstanding as something bad, quote unquote, because they are just seeing that okay, this is just the universe and giving me my opportunity to heal, and I can just go through this and work through this within me, and it has nothing to do with this other person. Do you feel like, these kind of couples, they are kind of like, they have a big potential of just being together and not having any issues because of this awareness, because of this like willingness to heal and the consciousness of how it works?
I didn't get the question. I'm sorry.
Like, the question is like, do you feel like if someone is on self-development path and is willing to heal, do you feel like there is almost like no way that something in a relationship will not work? Because if you're constantly like aware of yourself and aware of your triggers, you know that it has nothing to do with the other person, what you're going through, right? So when is the point when the relationship will end? Because like something would have to happen for the relationship to end. And when you're like aware of the triggers and when you're aware of your traumas, and then like you're not kind of putting it all, you're not blaming your partner for it, then there is almost no potential for the relationship not working in a way, because like you're really aware of yourself and you're really loving yourself. So then, like, if you're really higher level of awareness, then there is no reason why the relationship would end. Do you find that this is true or not really?
Yes, 99% true, I would say. Of course, the most relationships break up because of ego, because they are triggering, and it always looks like that it's the other person's fault. And of course, it has when something is triggering us, it has says more about us than about the other person. And the thing is, love and connection is everywhere. It's always there, and the only thing which can stand in the way, is our own thinking. The partner should be different. He should behave differently, and so on. But and the most relationships break up because of the ego. The ego is fighting all the time. But there is also something we can call this wisdom, or intuition, or inner guidance, whatever we want to call this. And but the ego is always very loud, like break up and you deserve better and whatever. And wisdom is more quiet. And of course, when and this guiding intelligence, this wisdom, is there for us in our whole life. I mean, for example, it was my wisdom which said to me, found spiritual entrepreneurs Malaga, and so on. And also, we have this wisdom in by our side in our relationships. And of course, the wisdom also can say, "Hey, break up," because uh, there is no more. You have learned everything which you learned. It doesn't make sense anymore. That the partner wants something completely different than you. But it's as I said, it's more quiet. It's more neutral, and not like break up. There's no more way, and so on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
I
so
can
of
relate to
course,
that.
yeah, and so of course you can still break up as a spiritual person with a high level of consciousness, but it's usually not because of the lower ego thoughts and so on.
Mm-hmm. 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 Absolutely. And that's how my breakup with my last partner actually looked like. We just consciously uncoupled rather than breaking up. Like we still love each other and still want to be best friends for life and so on. So you can actually do it in a very aware and conscious way. Like, okay, there is an incompatibility and you can just peacefully and with love just let the relationship or partnership go in this way, because you don't have to let go of the whole relationship. It's possible to stay friends after breaking up, I believe. And I feel like I don't hold personally any resentment towards my ex-partners, and I feel like it's weird that people do because it's like, you spend with this other person so long that you're friends, you were so close that to me just like it feels weird not to maintain any connection, to just like completely break up and just like not cut this person out of their life, unless it of course serves, and unless the wisdom, the intuition tells us to, which then of course I resonate with. But yeah, I actually, you mentioned the spiritual entrepreneurs, and I'm actually curious to know, um, from your perspective, like, because spiritual entrepreneurs, it's a nice name and it sounds nice, but like, how do you find that we can bring the spiritual awareness into our business, into our entrepreneurship? Like, what kind of let's say perspectives do you feel like you implemented in your life to your entrepreneurship, to your business, the higher perspectives, let's say, that help you, let's say, run your business in a more conscious way, in a more, with more awareness and more love as well?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, of course, you can make business without being spiritual, and
But it's
and
not
I
that
did this a
fun.
lot, and I did this a lot, and I did this a lot. Of course, you can be super super successful, but in my experience, and I mean, Malaga is not so far from Marbella, and in Marbella there's a lot of money, and a lot of super successful entrepreneurs. They have everything which what they ever dreamed of, but they are completely empty. And so the when you are looking in the form for happiness, for love, for joy, you will not find it. You will only find this in yourself because you are that. And spiritual entrepreneurship means for me to make business from my inner core. And the question is not also where can I make the most money. The question is more what is fun. How can I make the world to a better place? And also spiritual entrepreneurship means for me that my ego has little and little and little more influence on my business, and of course my ego has still influence on my business. And yeah, and this and here we are coming also back to wisdom again, because when God or the universe or whatever we want to call this is telling me, do spiritual entrepreneurs Malaga, I'm doing this. And so my business, my entrepreneurship is completely guided by a higher source, and my job is to only move forward.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Perfect. So how do you connect to this higher wisdom?
This higher wisdom is always there. We don't have to connect. The only thing is, of course, when we have a lot of blah blah up here, and I said it already, the ego is very loud and wisdom is quiet. And when there is a lot of, or also we can say that our mind is a cup, and the cup only has room for limited water. And when the cup is full with old, stale thoughts, which are always the same, like, what, why me, and I'm not good enough, and so on, there is no room for something new. But when there is room there, then you can hear this guidance. And it's like almost everything in the world, like that you have a learning curve, a learning curve in learning a new language, learning curve in new sports, learning curve in, yeah, also listening to this wisdom. And I mean, when I was younger, I always thought I have to figure out my life alone, and I make my 5-year plans and 10-year plans and so on. And now I'm super happy that it didn't go out like this because my life is way more cooler right now as I ever could imagine. And so my whole life is yeah, I let it go, all my beliefs, how my life should be, and trust this guiding intelligence, because this guiding intelligence brought me to places, to persons, uh, which I never could figure out with my small intellect.
Yeah, I can relate to that a lot. And I feel like if we want to find this voice inside, we need to take time to be still and to be silent in a way in our minds. We need to find ways to really like connect, because as you said, like if the voice of ego is so loud, then the voice of intuition is not going to be hearable, because it's a quite a subtle voice, and it doesn't even have to be voice. It can be a sign that we see, or it can be like a, I don't know, a video that we watch that kind of tells us something that just sinks in and awakens something within us, or it can be a friend telling us a different idea and we just feel pulled to it. It could be very different how the intuition communicates with us, how the wisdom communicates with us. But if we don't make space in our life for this communication, then it's probably not going to happen. And I'm saying connect to the wisdom because I feel like from my perspective it's kind of like building a relationship with my soul, with connecting to my intuition is like building a relationship. It's like you build a relationship with a friend, you hang out, you spend some time together, you talk to each other, you call each other, and so on. And I found with my higher self, with my intuition, is the same. It's like I spend time with it, I sit with it, I make space for it, I ask questions to it, right? So I kind of like connect in a way to this higher guidance, higher self, wisdom, however you want to call it. It's all the same anyway, whichever language you use. And so therefore my question about connection, because of course I'm all about connection, I'm a connection catalyst, but to me it seems like I'm just building this relationship more and more, and then it's easier for me to tune in to all these subtle messages that are given to me by my soul or by the guides, or whoever you want to call it. So that's how I see this, let's say, connection with the higher wisdom.
Was this a question?
No, I was just explaining to
Okay.
you what I feel, because you say that like you don't have to connect to it, it's there, yes. But if you don't make space for it, if you don't have an intention to actually like hear it in a way, then you don't it can be very very covered with some other things that are going on in your life, in your mind, and so on. So for me it is actually about connecting to it, it's actually about making space for it. So I just see it from this perspective. But I also understand that you can see it as like it's already there, and you just need to yeah, make in a way, um maybe not effort, but just like give space to it, and just like let go of all your thoughts so that you can be present with the wisdom that is already within you. And that's a beautiful thing about healers and coaches. I feel that we are always saying, okay, there are some people that will come to you as a coach or as a healer like, hey, I have this problem, fix me. But it's actually not about fixing them, it's actually about showing people how they can help themselves. It's not really about us as coaches or healers healing anyone, it's just us guiding people to understand that they have everything within that they need, and like they don't have to have any external power to help them discover what was already inside. So yeah, that's such a beautiful thing to do, to really be able to guide people to this understanding. So yeah, I'm super super enjoying this conversation. So I would love to ask you one last little question. And if people really resonate with your vibes and with your presence, and they would really like to connect with you more, what's the best way to find you or to contact you, maybe see your content? Where should people find that?
I think the best is just send me an email. I think we have show notes, right?
Sorry, what do we
Do
have?
we have do we have show notes
Yes, I
here
can put
in?
something in the notes for sure.
Yeah. So the best thing is email, because I don't have any English website yet, and I don't know when there will be an English website. So the best thing is to send me an email, and yeah, if
Perfect. So if someone
so
has any,
someone yeah, someone wants to talk to me, I'm here.
Perfect. Someone has any questions like how to be present in my life? My mind is just going crazy all the time. Andreas, help me. If someone would like to discover that, then yeah, perfect. Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful energy and your presence with our audience. I'm super grateful that you agreed to be on our podcast.
Thank you too.
Thank you so much for being with us, beautiful people. This has been an amazing conversation. Andreas is so present. He is such a beautiful soul. And if you'd like to find me, I am The Connection Catalyst on Instagram. So follow me there if you're curious about my content, about healing and spirituality and all these beautiful things. And if you'd like to find SoulFam Podcast, it's We Are SoulFam on Instagram. So thank you so much again for being with us and stay tuned to the next episode.